things seem to be, getting worse and worse with him in Manish Sisodia's case, because now it's not just the CBI, but it's also the ED, and they say the ED is far more, their claws are far more difficult to get out of, because they have far more powers than the CBI, I'm told. Um, and also then we also know that he was, there were these alleged allegations against him in the education. There was an education scam also. So my question is that will all this, lead ultimately to Arvind Kejriwal at some point, because so much is already known about this man. Everybody speaks of how he was in the India against corruption and how he rode on the back of Anna Hazareji, and then made so many tall claims, said so many things about so many people in terms of on account of corruption, and his hands are terribly dirty. But how is it that he's not been indicted, or he's not been called out, or why so much silence on this man?
Okay, I think there are two or three parts to this question. So the
Yes,
first one is how Arvind Kejriwal doesn't get any dirt sticking on him, and the second part is what exactly is going to be the position of Manish Sisodia, and the third part is, of course, the rise of Arvind Kejriwal since the
correct,
time of India against corruption.
correct.
So, as far as that part is concerned, the India against corruption part is concerned, I think it's there for everybody to see. And as I said right in the beginning, how he kept riding on others' shoulders, and after that, the same thing that you use the ladder, and after that, you kick the ladder down so that nobody else can climb up. And also, the people who have climbed up with you, you shove them down as well, so that in the end you're the only one sitting on the throne at the top. So that's been his character. So if you look at those India against corruption, those photographs, and you see the people who were there, who were the prominent people, Manish Sisodia was one, but even more prominent than Arvind Kejriwal was Kiran
Kiran
Bedi,
Bedi,
if you
exactly.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was Kumar Vishwas, who was a big draw for the crowd that used to gather there. And there were, of course, the ubiquitous Prashant Bhushan and Yogendra Yadav,
Yes, yes.
and there were a host of others, and all of them have disappeared. Manish Sisodia was the last of them. I don't say that he has disappeared, but definitely he is now incarcerated.
Incarcerated.
He is no longer out in the open. So that is one part. So that kind of buttresses our argument as to the character, the uh, deceptive, mendacious character of Arvind Kejriwal. And I think maybe he thinks that if he has to beat Rahul Gandhi to the position of the challenger, then he has to lie more and lie more convincingly than Rahul Gandhi does. Of course, Rahul Gandhi doesn't convince anyone. Uh, Kejriwal at least has the credit of having deceived two states, or rather one
He's won elections, exactly.
one union territory and one state. He's completely deceived them, and so he has these qualities. So he plays on the deception and dissimulation model.
Mm.
So that way he can be called quite successful, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly what surprises me. How is he success? How are people
Yeah,
voting?
yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let me go to the part three.
Mhm.
Let me go to the part three about Manish Sisodia and the cases confronting Manish Sisodia. Actually, there are right now he is confronted with four cases, and three of them are with the CBI and one with the ED. And you're right when you say that ED has greater powers, because CBI works is very strictly within the ambits of the IPC and the CRPC. But then under PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is supposed to be the exclusive domain of Enforcement Directorate, they have a lot greater powers, and not only they have the lot greater powers, those powers have also been validated recently by the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
So they are in a very happy situation of doing pretty much as they please.
Mm.
Well, it can be a double-edged sword for anybody who's using that, but then that's how it is at this point, and all advantage to the uh, ruling party, and as far as that is concerned. Now, you must also know that the Enforcement Directorate actually comes under the Finance Ministry. The CBI is supposedly independent, though it does come technically under the Department of Personnel and Training, and thereby directly under the PMO. But then the CBI director is appointed through a very, very transparent and a neutral process. So it is de jure. I'm not saying de facto, but de jure, it is considered to be neutral. Enforcement director is directly under the finance ministry. So they are on a different footing. And now there are four cases. The one is this excise scam, as on Manish Sisodia. The other one, which I think is a lesser one, is the school scam,
School, yes.
where certain constructions have been done in all the schools and they are under a cloud.
Mm.
Then the third one is this ED case, this Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA. And that case, and that pertains to the transfer of unauthorized transfer of 100 crores to the South Cartel. And there is another one, and that is the feedback unit. That case has also been referred to the CBI. Now, that feedback unit was actually a unit that was created after the Aam Aadmi Party lost control of the ACB, because ACB police function, and that police function was invested exclusively with the central government and to the MHA and to the lieutenant governor. And they lost control on that after the Supreme Court judgments and all. So they created this feedback unit
Mhm.
under the vigilance setup, and this feedback unit has been found to be actually doing unauthorized espionage
Oh my God.
within Delhi. That's what the charges are, and that also with the CBI. And once that comes to fruition, then your initial question
Mm.
about Kejriwal,
Mm.
how Kejriwal manages to stay apart, I think that also might get addressed.
Okay.
And within this, you also asked how Kejriwal manages to stay aloof
Yes.
from all this is because he doesn't sign any files.
16 portfolios with this guy, Manish Sisodia, and he doesn't have
Manish,
any.
he doesn't keep any portfolio. He, officially, he doesn't sign anything.
Correct.
All he does is whatever he has to do, he does it in a cabinet meeting because he presides over the cabinet meeting. But technically, he can't really get away from many things because the transaction of business rules provide that any cabinet note that goes to the cabinet meeting has to be first vetted by the chief minister. It is only with the permission of the chief minister that a cabinet note can be put up to the cabinet. And of course, if any cabinet decision is taken, the chief minister is presiding over there. So it is only through that route that chief minister will ultimately come to grief. That is one.
Okay.
And the second is, of course, if somebody sings,
Right.
whether like a canary or like a cuckoo or whatever, then also Kejriwal can actually come into the
Correct.
net. Otherwise, he's fairly safe.
Mm.
Imagine the new lieutenant governor had to give him an instruction that any file that you send to governor, Mr. Kejriwal, you have to sign it personally.
Exactly.
And it's quite amazing because I spent 35 years in these services and I cannot think of any file going to the governor from the chief minister without his
Without a
signature.
signature.
And I have seen, except, certain cases where some people, Vasundhara Raje had devised this in Rajasthan,
Mhm.
where if you sent her a file for signatures for her approval according to the business rules, and it would come back saying the chief minister has seen the file. Now, whatever that means, chief minister has seen the file means nothing, and it was supposed to convey her approval.
Mm.
But then it was so vaguely worded that if anything went wrong,
She doesn't have.
then she is absolutely free. That she would say that what has been written.
Mm.
Firstly, it has been written by my secretary,
Secretary.
this the my private secretary or the CMO setup, the chief minister's office setup. So it doesn't bear my signature.
Mm.
So how do we know whether she has actually seen it or not? She can always turn around
I
and say
didn't.
that I haven't seen it, and whatever has been written, that responsibility falls on the guy who said this. So the chief minister's seen this. Then they also created another intra CMO notings. Okay. Now this intra CMO notings are very interesting. Is that a file goes to the chief minister's office,
Mm.
then this procedure is followed in the finance department, at least in Rajasthan. I don't know about Delhi and the ministries because I haven't worked in Delhi ministry, so that I'm not very familiar. But over here, the finance department used to have this internal file system. So she developed this internal file system where the extracts would be taken,
Mm.
the file that has come to the chief minister's office. Then there would be internal notings, and on the basis of that, something would be said. And these internal notings would be destroyed later on.
Mhm.
So all this is done, and this has been perfected by Kejriwal
Mm.
to the extent that he even started sending files to the governor, lieutenant governor,
Without sign.
without his signature. चीफ मिनिस्टर जी ने मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने देख लिया है. That doesn't work with the lieutenant governor.
Correct. Correct.
It may work with a minister, or it may work with a lower down official, a secretary who has been told informally that if it comes to you कि मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने देख लिया है, that means it bears his approval.
Mm.
And then the Mukhyamantri can very conveniently shift the blame on the
Correct.
person in question if there is any trouble.
Correct.
Uh, this is now being done by quite a few chief ministers, I'm told.
Mm.
But there are very few who still put their signatures on the file. That's very unfortunate because that is actually shirking responsibility.
Right. Right.
That I haven't seen that. I saw that for the first time with Vasundhara Raje. I believe the present chief minister has again reversed that trend.
Mm.
But then it's very disturbing, and I
Very.
think it actually uh, the
Isn't there any
central
way?
government should make it absolutely clear,
Correct.
bring in a law
Mm.
under the articles that govern the government business to make it absolutely clear that the whatever is being approved by the chief minister, his signatures must be there. So this is the artifice that Kejriwal uses.
Mm. Which explains why he's scot free and all his minions are in jail.
Now minions have to sing
Correct.
in order that Kejriwal lands in jail.
But apparently, he posted something on Twitter with outside the home residence of Manish Sisodia, saying that I'll take care of your family. So people are trying to interpret it in many different ways. I mean, God knows what that means. But I really hope for the safety of the family.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.